Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And I don't know what it is about Balanced Druid. One day I'm hating it, one day I'm loving it. I really can't make up my mind with this specialization. Sometimes I'm seeing people tweeting about doing the most damage ever, like 3 times everyone's damage in PvE. And then I logged on to the pre-patch. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try and give it a go again. I hated it the last time I played it, but maybe it'll be fun this time. Maybe things have changed randomly, even though nothing has changed other than maybe getting nerfed a couple of times. I really want to figure out if this is a spec that I want to play, if it's going to be a solid pick as a main overall moving into the next expansion, Dragonflight. And if that's something that you're trying to figure out as well for yourself to make that choice, then this is going to be a really good video to watch. And if you're struggling to pick what class you want to play in general, this is a really good channel to subscribe to. Just saying, no pressure. But yeah, in today's video, we're going to be covering the strengths and weaknesses, the new adaptations that have been made to Balanced Druid, and kind of what you should expect moving forward into the next expansion, or what you're trying to accomplish with this specialization in order to have the most amount of success. So one of the main things that I've noticed with Balanced Druid is that Starfall is monstrously better than Star Surge, which has not been the case for some time, which is kind of nice. And in the pre-patch specifically, I was doing an insane amount of damage, overwhelming multiple enemies. You'll see in this first round, I'm playing with a Warlock, and I'm keeping up with the Warlock. That's saying something, because this is an Affliction Warlock, like absolutely crazy. So the main goal for me was keep dots on everything, Moonfire, Sunfire, tab, Moonfire, Sunfire, tab, Moonfire, Sunfire, try and get into Lunar Eclipse. And once I'm in Lunar Eclipse, I want to start stacking those Starfalls as soon as possible while avoiding the enemy's attacks. You can see that enemy Evoker coming in and doing some cooldowns on me with that Fire Breath. We're going to use Bark Skin on the Deep Breath, Mind Games, and use our Hellstone. We end up Root Beaming the Evoker to try and stop some damage, as we're double Mind Games at the moment. We don't really want to take too much damage here. We're going to reposition away, keep the dots up, just get ready to stagger, get into Lunar Eclipse as soon as possible, and start just letting the fireworks go, because we're going to have so much Astral Power after getting into Lunar, using Astral Communion to reset. We can also go for our Eclipse here, hit 3 targets, Stellar Flare with that, love Orbital Strike. The 2-minute cooldown benefit of Incarn is super nice. I like that from Legion Moonkin as well. So now they've got 3 dots on them. They're taking more damage. We're calling in full moons from the sky. We're exploding mushrooms from the floor, literally just shattering them from every possible angle imaginable. And it's this type of situation that made me feel really good on the Boomkin. And I was like, man, I got to play this. I'm running around. I'm picking up Starbursts off the ground, running those into people, knocking them up in the air, doing even more damage, free casting, blasting down the Shadow Priest, swapping targets freely. Just, this is honestly the way that I wanted to play my Balanced Druid, was just monstrous amounts of AoE damage, constantly putting pressure across multiple members of the opposing team, trying to min-max my Eclipse by always staying in it to keep our Starfalls rolling as much as possible, and landing these wild mushrooms, either be it with Bash or with Entangling Roots, because the wild mushrooms actually do a substantial amount of damage, assuming that you can land them. And it was nice with, you can see here, bashing the Priest, throw down a wild mushroom, that's going to go pop, add another damage over time effect, silence the Priest, full moon, double kill. Easy game, easy life, very satisfying experience in that first round. So I'm thinking like, man, like, why wouldn't I want to play this spec? Why wouldn't I want to play this spec at this point? Like, what am I thinking? Like, I'm not going to pick this as a main. I just made a video saying that I'm going to main Preservation Evoker, and then I played this one, and I was like, wait a minute, like, this is amazing. But there are some things to take into consideration on the pre-patch. You have access to legendaries that are available on the talents, but the talents are half the value. So I do notice a kind of staggering difference between pre-patch Balanced Druid and actual Dragonflight Balancer, which is coming out in a few weeks, where this damage doesn't feel as substantial in the way that it's moving health bars. And I'm uncertain if that's because of the damage loss that you get losing legendaries, or the healing output increase that the healers get from having more access to more talents. But if they can hit the tuning right on this specialization at max level, it's going to be it would be so much fun. Like, if every game played like that, it would be so much fun. I would be having an absolute blast with this specialization, no doubt. Really like this Entangling Root Solar Beam Wild Mushroom combo to try and guarantee that we can connect these wild mushrooms onto the healer. Dangers of doing that, they can just press Dispel and remove it. So it's actually better to spread wild mushrooms onto multiple targets of the team rather than allocate all 3 onto one target, just for that reason. Then we've got dots up. We're going into Lunar Eclipse. We're getting ready, and my Evoker randomly pressed Fire Breath and one-shot the Shadow Priest. So, yep, we did a lot in this game. This was all me. This is all the Boomkin right here. Yep, nerf me. That was all me. Yep, 100%. No, it actually wasn't. It was the Devastation Evoker with the Tip the Scales one-shot, which you really want to get aware of. You can tell when they're about to do that because they're going to spit a fireball out of their face, which is Dragon's Rage, and then they're going to set up for Tip the Scales, and then as soon as you see the, or right a second before you see that, you need to do something, disperse any button you've got that reduces damage or absorbs damage, because you run the RNG chance that you're probably just going to be eradicated off the face of the planet. So I kind of really just want to skip to the next round where I had a Warlock, because when I had a Warlock on my team, man, this was super fun. This might be like the best comp in the game potentially in 3v3, even in actual max level, because the amount of pressure that we were able to get going onto the enemy team was insanely phenomenal. It's definitely making me reconsider my top 10 3v3 arena comp list that I'm going to be making. So if you want to see what it's looking like potentially, we start the game with a Typhoon Root Beam. This lets us get our wild mushrooms going onto these guys into roots. This is going to give us 3 damage over time effects with our other dots and really amp up the damage later on, because the Shadow Priest fully dotted. We send in that Orbital Strike, get our Stellar Flares up, keep the rest of the dots going, get our Starfall rolling. We can use our Astral Communion, get even more Starfalls rolling, working towards generating those full moons onto our opponents. We can see multiple members down to half. We're going to use Hellstone through that burst damage, call in a full moon on the bashed target here, swap over to the priest because now he's recovered the Evoker, but maybe he's not recovered. Try and dodge these Void Volleys at the same time. Super fun gameplay on the pre-patch at the moment. And then try and get into position to chase down the Evoker on the other side of the pillar. We've got a Mass Entangle, which we could combo with a Wild Mushroom. So a Mass Entangle the Evoker, drop a Wild Mushroom, get our triple dot. You can use Thrash as well to get 3 dots on a target to get the benefits of your talents to do more damage on a target. I think it's about 8%, but you can see the pressure that we're creating right now. It's just absolutely unbelievable. We got Shadow Priest at half health, Evoker's behind me, not on my screen, below 30% health, dying to Starfall and some dots. We fear spam the Evoker, knock him into some bombs, Shadow Word Death him, crack him with some more damage. Another Starburst falls down from the sky, going now into Lunar Eclipse or Solar Eclipse just by spamming Starfire. Like, it is super fun to play at the moment in the pre-patch, to say the least. And I think that it can be just as fun to play at max level if just a couple of PvP tuning readjustments, a couple little tweaks here and there for the balance to it, and it's likely just as an enjoyable experience at max level. Like this situation, we got a Root Beam on the healer, we've locked him on Spirit Bloom, they run into a Starburst, they're knocked up in the air, and the guy behind me ended up dying to some damage over time effects and some Starfall damage. So it was absolutely insane the amount of pressure that I was able to get on the pre-patch. Like, easily the most fun I've had on Balanced Druid in a long time, because I really like this area of effect pressure. It's similar reason why I like Balanced Druid and Wrath of the Lich King with Starfall. So I do really hope that they can hit the tuning with it when we get to max level in Dragonflight, and it can feel as good as it feels in this video, because, you know, I would likely reconsider what class I was playing if they can manage to hit the tuning on it so that it's going to be as good of a time as it is here. Note that I've got the Kyrian Covenant ability buffing my damage. I've got the legendary that's going to get nerfed by 50% once it's gone in the next expansion. So that's where a significant portion of the damage or the juice of what I'm doing in this video is coming from, and might likely also be a reason why Balanced Druids in raids and stuff in the pre-patch are also doing a lot of damage. Once again, that Root Solar Beam opener, dropping down 3 mushrooms, getting ready to get that triple dot pressure, go for our Orbital Strike, get our Stellar Flares up, get our other dots out. Time to start spending some Starfalls and start ramping up some massive damage on these Evokers behind the pillar. And then we're going to use our Stampede to get out of the root. We tank the Fire Breath there with Bark Skin, take 0 damage. You can see if you see that burst coming, you're never going to get one-shotted by it. And then since that burst is gone, we can start getting even more aggressive towards these Evokers. Generally not going to want to focus Warlocks as a Balanced Druid, but yeah, we completely shred them. They just get melted. Both dragons just knocked out of the fight completely. A really good time. See, I'm keeping up with the Affliction, Warlock, and damage here. And if they hit the tuning on this, moving to max level, I feel like I've said that probably like 10,000 times at this point. This would be a really fun specialization to play. Like, I actually do love it. Might miss Star Surge a little bit, but it's been like 5 expansions of, Root Beam, spam 5 Star Surges and hope the target dies. So I actually kind of like the spam Starfall, try and keep dots up, cycling low targets, working towards these full moon procs calling in from the sky and trying to aim these wild mushrooms and land them. So like it's an emotional roller coaster, honestly, with Balanced Druid, okay? It's an emotional roller coaster. One day I'm loving it, one day I'm hating it. I see Twitter on fire telling about how bad it is. So I think that it could be amazing. It's just all about whether or not they can hit the tuning for it. And hopefully we get to that tuning phase for PvP sooner than later so we get a better idea of it. If you want to stay up to date with all those changes, then do make sure to hit the subscribe button. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one.